City of St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, 911.
I'm sitting at the corner of Kings Highway and Southwest at the school building. I saw a gentleman with a rifle shoot at the door and go in, and kids are starting to run out of the building.
Okay. There's a shooting in my daughter's school.
Please, there's a shooting at our school, Central Visual Performing Arts High School.
Were the shots fired inside or outside? Someone has bomb guarded their way into the building. Be advised, shots are fired inside. You can see them.
Did me say that they were inside of their schoolroom and that there were gunshots.
Is your teacher or a grown-up with you?
Yes.
Okay, let me speak with her.
She's leaving. I am in my classroom and we are all scared. I don't want to die. Please. I can't stay quiet.
You have to.
Almost 2 years since the deadly shooting at St. Louis's Central Visual and Performing Arts High School, and we haven't known much about that day until now. I'm First Alert 4 investigator Susan L. Corey. Tonight, our investigation reveals hours of recordings and hundreds of documents kept hidden from the public. The families who lost their loved ones entrusting us to share what they see here, opportunities missed, and lessons learned to prevent another tragedy. At a high school where days are measured in lessons learned,
people need to know what went wrong.
She didn't deserve what happened to her.
it's what's still unlearned about the day Alexandria Bell and Jean Kuchka were murdered that their families believe could hold the most important lessons.
Were there things that could have prevented all this?
Jean Kuchka, wife, grandmother, teacher, and Joe's mom.
She wanted to protect her students. She stood in front of them and, gave her life so her students would be saved.
Those who love her call her Alex, a dance student days from celebrating her sweet 16 and Keisha Akers' only child.
I don't get to do prom. I don't get to see her have kids. I don't get to see her get married. I don't get to see any of that.
Almost 2 years later, the family say investigators have kept them on the outside.
I should be able to ask anybody anything because I lost a kid.
To date, police won't release any body camera or surveillance video from the school. But for the first time, we're getting an inside look as First Alert 4 investigates, uncovers, and analyzes FBI and police records, including hours of 911 calls, officer radio traffic, detective interviews with witnesses, and hundreds of pages of police reports. Together, they tell part of the story of what happened at CVPA. Are you okay with what we're sharing?
Yes, we don't want this to happen again.
I'm sitting at the corner of Kings Highway.
October 24th, 2022.
I saw a gentleman with a rifle shoot at the door and go in.
A driver passing CVPA made the first call for help.
And kids are starting to run out of the building.
Okay.
2 minutes earlier, police records we uncovered show around 9:07, 19-year-old Orlando Harris shot his way through a side door at his former high school, armed with an assault rifle and hundreds of rounds of ammunition.
I heard 3 to 5 loud bangs. I look up, I see someone in all black.
School district security guard Jermaine Yancey later told police he was stationed at the door. He said he radioed for help. Most school guards, including him, don't carry guns.
I encountered him first.
Okay.
He shot at me. I took off and ran on the side of the wall like this.
Down the hall in the dance room.
He shot towards my student. And then he looked down. The gun jammed.
One of her students was 15-year-old Alexandria Bell.
She was supposed to be in that classroom.
But she got shot
Out
in the
hallway.
Bell didn't have time.
I see a student run towards me and she was shot in the left arm.
Minutes into the attack, The school district's off-site security dispatch
911.
dialed 911.
We have shots fired.
What unfolded gives a glimpse of moments when time mattered.
Has anyone been hit that you know of? Hold on.
The employee who isn't at the school is heard radioing guards who are, while the dispatcher waited.
Is the suspect still in the gym? Is they still moving around? Has anyone been hit? My traffic is quiet. Repeat your transmission.
Back at the school, a second security guard told police he was upstairs, heard the radio calls, and ran to the first floor.
I got to the bottom of the steps. He was standing there with the rifle like this. I'm just like, I just said, well, and I ran back up the steps.
You were armed? Okay.
On the second floor, the Central VPA principals told police they were in a meeting.
We heard screaming in the hall, and our safety officer, Officer Yancey, screamed, "Active shooter in the building."
I said, lock all the doors, lock all the damn doors. Now we got an active shooter in the building. This ain't no joke, this is real.
That's when the shooter appeared again.
The shooter was at the end of that hallway and fired a single shot in our direction.
We ran for our lives.
Around the same time,
Arrived at 9:15.
the first officers arrived nearly 7 minutes into the attack. Radio calls show they were inside the school within a minute.
There are children running from the school yelling for help. Security officer also ran out at 9:15.
Dispatcher, we got a shot fired in the school.
Inside, the shooter is on the second floor, where a third security guard was working on the lockdown.
I was going door to door just running, and by the time I got to where the auditorium is, he's standing there.
She was also unarmed.
He raised the AR up at me and he said, and the gun jammed. I took off and I ran in the girl's bathroom. The next thing I heard, boom, boom. I don't know which way he went after that.
The shooter went upstairs.
She was meant to be there that day. And we know, she saved lives.
In a third-floor classroom, Jean Kuchka stood in front of her students, shielding them as she was shot.
She told the students, jump out of the window, get out of here.
Hello?
Down the hall in another classroom, a student picked up her phone.
I am in my classroom and we are all scared.
I understand. I completely understand.
I don't want to die.
Police had been in the school for a few minutes.
We're on the second floor. We got a magazine in the hallway.
One of the first to respond was a sergeant.
I gave the order to fire.
He said the shooter barricaded himself in a third-floor computer lab.
There's a lot of shooting.
Doors away.
Please let the police upstairs, please.
The student still on the line with 911 as the call records gunshots.
I can't stay quiet.
You have to. No, I'm still here on the phone with you, okay? It's okay.
At 9:26, almost 20 minutes after police say he got to the school, Orlando Harris was shot and killed.
Suspect in custody. Everyone's okay. Slow everyone down.
Police shifted their focus.
We got a victim down, room 323.
That's when they found Jean Kuchka.
EMS, is it secure enough to go inside the school?
Downstairs, Alexandria Bell still needed help.
We need one of those EMS shooters who have a person not doing well.
Stand by on EMS going in. Stand by.
Police were clearing the building and told EMS to wait.
I need a janitor or somebody with keys.
But locked doors made that check last more than 30 minutes.
You save lives by getting people rapid treatment.
David Reedman has spent years researching school shootings for the K-12 shooting database. He reviewed the recordings and believes they reveal lessons.
In this case, it shows that there's a procedural failure for these victims if they're waiting 20 minutes inside when the shooter's already dead.
The police radio recordings do not include fire and EMS. Their system is separate. More than once, police called EMS. No one answered.
Somebody tell EMS they're not answering.
And the consequences of that might be a shooting victim bleeding to death in a classroom or hallway because you can't communicate. We have spent billions of dollars on having integrated interoperable radio systems in every single fire department and police department across the country. Yet an incident like this shows that that is still not happening.
There's another communication concern.
Get a hold of security, see if they can shut this alarm off.
At some point during the shooting, the fire alarm sounded.
I can't hear you off the alarm.
Modern digital radios don't work well because they're picking up the interference of the fire alarm over people's voices.
Friedman says that was one of the lessons learned 6 years ago in the Parkland, Florida high school shooting, where 17 people died at the hands of a former student.
Police need to know how to disable the fire alarm.
We took the records we uncovered to the school district. Has any of that information been shared with you?
No.
School Board Vice President Matt Davis claims he got the same answer from police, that almost 2 years later, the shooting is still under investigation.
I can't imagine what purpose there would be to not make that information available to the school district, to the community, as soon as practically possible. I feel so horrible for all these families because I just can't have an answer for them. I can't have an answer that, there was something that we missed or could have done.
The new information emphasizes what we still don't know. SLMPD will not release body camera or surveillance video. Joe Kuchka says police showed his family some footage. What stood out to him is video of the shooter entering at a door where an unarmed security guard was stationed. The guard, Jermaine Yancey, is a former Marine. He declined to comment.
He's face to face with a shooter and runs away.
Last year, his mom received a Congressional Medal of Honor for her last act, protecting her students who all survived.
We were honored to go to an event in Washington, D.C. for my mom. Excuse me.
That medal is traditionally the highest military honor.
My family got to meet a lot of these people who are heroes. Not one of them said they were a hero. They said my mom was a hero for protecting our students, and it's hard to hear when people were there and I think could have done more.
Days before the shooting, Orlando Harris's family tried to do more.
We gonna get rid of this gun. That's my main focus.
Harris's mom, in her own words,
we were trying to prevent all of this.
As we uncovered new details about the days leading up to the shooting.
They didn't protect my sister, and she's dead because of them.
A duty to protect and a duty to act. Most police officers take that oath very seriously. But tonight, First Alert 4 Investigates is revealing for the first time ever accusations from state officials of inaction from some Missouri officers in incidents that ended in terrible tragedy.
And now the Attorney General says they should be held accountable. Chief Investigative Reporter Lauren Traeger brings us this exclusive story, Reckless Disregard. On a dark Missouri Boot Heel highway lit up by blue and red, Michelle Anders said one of her last words. Please.
Oh my God. God help me.
Her sister Michelle says the mother of two was fun-loving and caring. Now she is gone.
I get to spend the rest of my life without her. And so do her children. She doesn't get to see them get married. She doesn't get to be a grandmother. She doesn't get to be anything because of them.
Shortly before midnight in July last year, not far from the Arkansas border, Dunklin County Sheriff's Deputy Joseph Philpott, seen on video, and his partner were dispatched for a woman lying near the road.
Do you need an ambulance first and foremost?
No, I've been there, done that.
Obscured from view, Michelle tells him she's been beaten.
I'm trying to get away from him because...
Who's him?
The person who did this to me, okay?
When she sits up, Deputy Nicholas Cobb, whose video is on, sees she is hurt. Michelle, at times struggling to talk, she tells them she's walking from Little Rock to Chicago. She's already been to a hospital, has papers on her showing she has a broken shoulder blade.
The knot on your head looks fresh.
Yeah, these are new.
What happened there?
After the fact that it happened You know, I didn't press any more charges. I'm just trying to get away from him.
In their official reports, both Cobb and Philpott say Michelle did not appear to be intoxicated, was not slurring her words nor stumbling, but they noted a bottle of alcohol sticking up from her purse. Philpott's body camera is not on. Cobb is in his car for much of the encounter. When Cobb gets back out, Michelle is holding her arm.
So where are you wanting to go? It's what I'm trying to get from you. Are you just going to live out on the street? What?
No, I'm not a street person, sir.
So what is your goal? What are you trying to get to?
She tells them she has no phone, no Google Maps. In his report, Philpott says she told him she did not have any money, so he told her the nearest town was a few miles away.
Would you guys mind just dropping off here?
Well, our policy normally is we don't give rides, but let me check something real quick.
In a whispered side conversation, Philpott asks Cobb,
Not really.
She said she walked from Little Rock to here.
She can walk.
keep walking, they tell her.
Stay off this white line, or you're probably gonna get run over. There's another gas station up the road about 2 miles, so.
Can you please take me there?
We can't give you a ride. I don't have enough room to put all your stuff in my car.
Please.
I don't have nowhere to put your stuff.
Elisa, so pained by that please.
Please. You know, begging them, not asking, begging them to help her.
You're welcome.
Michelle thanks the officers as they walk away. 13 minutes after they leave her, this haunting image from a semi-truck's camera. Michelle sitting in the middle of the road, making no attempt to get up, and the truck hits her.
911, what's the address of your emergency? Did you hit this person or? Yeah, I mean, there was nothing that I could do. So you need an ambulance there? Yes. Well, I don't think an ambulance is going to help.
Near her body, the bags Cobb claimed they didn't have room for, now stacked neatly on the side of the road.
My sister didn't want to die. She was not suicidal. I mean, even in jail, you get phone calls. Even in jail, you get water. They left her with absolutely no hope.
Do you think she would be alive today if they had helped her?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because she would have called me, and I would have driven 1,000,000 miles to get her.
Did they fail to protect and serve?
Yes, they did. Totally. I mean, who are they protecting? They didn't protect my sister, and she's dead because of them.
And Missouri's Attorney General now accusing the deputies of a gross deviation from the standard of care. Last month, they filed a complaint asking to formally discipline Cobb and Philpott's peace officers' licenses. Those documents say the deputies acted with, quote, reckless disregard for Michelle's life by leaving her on the side of the major thoroughfare at night, despite knowing that she was a potential domestic violence victim, severely injured and intoxicated. The complaint goes on to say they failed to summon medical assistance, didn't provide her with appropriate resources, and did not transport her to a place of safety.
They need to get right with Jesus, in my opinion, because they failed her.
First Alert 4 Investigates confirmed both Cobb and Philpott are still employed with the sheriff's office. The sheriff saying he would not discuss the case. Elisa shocked they still have a badge. She thinks they should be charged with a crime.
My sister's blood is on their hands because they did not do their job. They took an oath to serve and protect, and they did none of that. They laughed in her face, said they didn't have room for her things, and she was dead 13 minutes later.
But Michelle's case, sadly, is not the only alarming instance like it First Alert 4 Investigates has recently uncovered. Similar disciplinary complaint documents filed by the state say 2 St. Louis police officers, Ty Warren and Austin Frazier, committed what the state again called a reckless disregard, and more, they said, quote, an act of baseness, vileness, and depravity. They had been called to Forest Park in September 2023 after a call from a person who said they were going to commit suicide. Warren and Frazier found 29-year-old Urayoan Rodriguez Rivera under a tree, shot but still breathing. According to the complaint, Warren told Frazier, "We need to take this MFer then," to which Frazier replied, "We ain't taking this expletive. Let's cruise around and come back." The scene, according to the police incident report, was just off Kings Highway, very close to a major hospital. The complaint documents say they never provided medical assessment or attempt to render assistance. Neither attempted to locate a firearm, which was reported missing from the scene. Rodriguez Rivera died later at a hospital, having left multiple letters of intent. His death ruled a suicide. His mother, who lives in Puerto Rico, texted with First Alert 4 Investigates, writing, "He was quiet, very smart, and had emotional problems," writing, "Nothing will change. That my son is dead. It's very painful for me."
What? Why? Why didn't they help him?
That case shocking to Elisa, too. She wonders how many other vulnerable people have suffered because she says someone with a badge turned a blind eye.
What is this idea of reckless disregard?
It's that you know what the rules are and you blow by them anyway.
Gary Berger's the St. Louis attorney, well-versed on cop cases. The state, he says, is accusing officers in both situations of failing to do what a reasonable officer would.
Leaving injured people in harm's way, both a danger to themselves and to other people, is inappropriate conduct from a police officer.
But that's just discipline. The families in both cases, he says, could possibly sue, but criminal charges, he says, are not likely.
It's often difficult to prosecute officers for what they do. Is it more difficult to hold them accountable criminally for what they don't do?
Absolutely. That's a great point, Lauren. Omission, the lack of doing something, is even harder. The law is going to give them even more defenses.
In fact, Deputy Joseph Philpott is fighting back against the discipline. His attorney now filing a response to the AG's complaint, denying the allegations and citing an Arkansas police report from 3 days before their encounter, claiming Michelle was a perpetrator of assault, not a victim, though nothing in their incident reports or on the video seems to indicate they knew that at the time. Cobb's attorney spoke to First Alert 4 Investigates, saying Cobb is prepared to vehemently defend himself. The attorney telling us he couldn't speak much on the matter, but he was confident Cobb would be vindicated. We tried to reach the officers in the Forest Park incident. Neither would talk. St. Louis police declined our request for an interview. A spokesperson wrote, quote, "The two individuals are no longer employed by the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. While we are unable to comment on specific personnel matters, SLMPD holds its officers to the highest standards. Appropriate disciplinary action will be taken if an officer is found to have violated policies."
I wish they would have arrested her. She'd still be here.
Elisa says she desperately wants the officers held accountable.
She can't talk anymore, but I'm her voice.
Her sister's pleas now leading to one of her own.
I was everything to her, and she was everything to me.
Elisa says she wants more answers about how her sister's death was handled in general. Meanwhile, according to the state, Ty Warren is the only officer we've mentioned without an active peace officer's license right now. At this point, we don't know what became of that missing firearm in Forest Park, only that St. Louis police filed a report that it may have been stolen. St. Louis police requested payment from us for a public records request we made nearly a month ago for that information, all of it regarding the Forest Park incident. We have paid for that, but we have not yet received the records. Because of that, we don't have the body camera footage from that instance either. Much to follow on this, and we certainly will. I'm Lauren Traeger. First Alert 4 Investigates.
Final countdown to the Great American Eclipse.
We're unique. We have it twice in a lifetime.
You might not ever get to see another one again.
For the second time since 2017.
I can't believe what I just saw.
We will see totality.
We're in the zone for about 3 minutes.
The path spanning from Texas over southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, and out over Maine.
It's really cool.
The last eclipse over the U.S. for 20 years, and even longer for our area.
The next time Missouri will even have an eclipse is 2178.
We are just moments away from Solar Eclipse 2024.
Oh, we're going to have a great time. We really are. It's going to be Party City.
This is the Great American Eclipse, sponsored by St. Luke's Urgent Care and Ophthalmology Associates.
turning daylight into twilight. Right now, we are officially less than 2 hours away from totality for the Great American Eclipse. I want to thank you so much for being with us for the special edition of First Alert 4. I'm Samantha Jones.
And I'm Corey Stark. The big day, it's here. It is a moment many have been waiting for since the last eclipse passed over us in 2017. But this time, St. Louis is just outside of the path of totality, which means less of the sun will be covered by the moon than it will be in other areas. But hey, no worries. First Alert 4 is spread out across the bi-state in some of those areas expecting total darkness this afternoon. We have 8 crews, yes, 8 crews from Poplar Bluff to Mount Vernon, Illinois. And as people head to those areas, it has been a busy morning on the roads. Traffic on I-55 was backed up this morning. Here's a look at that traffic from a few of our traffic cameras as people headed south, hoping to make it just in time for the big moment.
Pretty good backups there. This map that we're showing you now is the path of totality that will span 15 states. The first spot actually seeing totality will be in Texas at about 1:40 this afternoon. It will continue to pass across the country over southwest Missouri, southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, before ultimately ending its span of U.S. cities at Caribou, Maine, about 2:30 today.
But right now, the partial eclipse has already begun over Texas. Here is a live look right now down there as they await totality there in Texas. Throughout most of our coverage, we're going to keep an eye and a live picture on the sun from NASA. You're going to see that on the top right-hand side of your screen.
And as we enter the final countdown, cities in the path of totality are ready for a big payoff after years of preparations. Totality will hit our crews in Poplar Bluff first, just after 1:56 this afternoon. Here's a look at that countdown. Right now, Poplar Bluff will have one of the largest windows in totality in the entire U.S. at more than 4 minutes.
And that's where we're going to start our 2024 eclipse coverage. Poplar Bluff, Missouri is about a 150-mile drive south from downtown St. Louis.
Our Caroline Hecker live there right now in Poplar Bluff. Caroline, you've been there with the crowds of people today. How is it so far?
There are a lot of people here, Sam and Corey. The football stadium here at Poplar Bluff High School is starting to fill up. You can see a lot of people have brought their own lawn chairs. There's still some people sitting on the bleachers.
Thank you to our crews that are in the field. First Alert 4's Nathan Vickers was out in this area, by the way, and got hit by some of that hail and then stopped to report on some of the damage, saw some of the huge hail and some of the hail damage. He's out in the field right now. Nathan, where are you at? What are you seeing?
Steve, you're looking at the sky over the St. Charles County Emergency Operations Center. We're getting a good view of some of those clouds rolling over here. There's also quite a bit of damage here to some of the emergency vehicles. In fact, I'm going to show you a little bit of this now. Jim, my photographer, is following me here. So you probably can't make it out from back there, but there's dents to all of these hoods on just about every police car in the lineup. This one has a cracked windshield up here, and there are several like that throughout the lot over here. In fact, we talked with the emergency operations director out here. Her own car was pretty smashed up there at the other end of the lot. If we have this video, we want to show you the other hail damage that's here in St. Charles County, right down the road from here in O'Fallon at Main Street and Elm Street. This was at a mechanic shop where the hail really came down hard for a few minutes. We had busted out several car windows, and once we get this video up, you can see how dramatic it actually is. There were several cars that were damaged there, and people were out tarping up their cars. In fact, even some of the mechanics who worked there had damage to their own cars up there. And actually, I can hear the hail starting to come down again out here now. You can probably hear that in the background.
Nathan,
we want to show you.
Nathan,
yeah, we're gonna get to more safe.
Get in your car. Get in your car now.
Yep.
You're done.
Steve, we're getting out of here. We're getting out of here. Thanks.
It's not rotating. It's severe thunderstorm, and he's getting hit by hail. And I'm sure they're going to get in the car, if not already. So this is about where the St. Charles Emergency office is, and there's the storm.
Steps from one of St. Louis County's busiest streets, Lindbergh Boulevard.
It's deplorable.
Blood samples sit in a parking lot.
That is a serious health risk.
Some broken, others intact, all containing private medical information.
I stopped and went, no, this just isn't right.
Mark Chamberlain spotting the vials while walking home.
Came up through here.
He cut through this area by the loading docks behind the Cross Keys Shopping Center in Florissant.
This is where I saw broken ones, a few scattered here.
He reached out to First Alert 4 Investigates.
Are you thinking, how did those get here?
Yes. Step on those and get cut. Could be AIDS, hepatitis, who knows what.
We saw dozens of blood samples spread through the parking lot with patients' names, birthdays, and medical ID numbers. Several rolled into storm drains with warnings that what falls into here goes to the river.
Saw all of these vials of blood.
That's when we called the city to get answers.
I've counted like 41 different vials.
First, fluorescent police came.
There's one right there.
Collecting the vials as evidence.
What do you do about the ones that are in the storm drains?
They had to call in the fire department to pry open not one, but 2 storm drains and pick up the vials in there.
We're going to try to find out who's the responsible party.
Turns out the vials came from right around the corner at this DaVita dialysis in the same shopping center.
I was just shocked.
Cheryl Malden is one of the patients whose blood sample was in the parking lot.
How could this have happened? I mean, you're breaking my HIPAA law.
The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, known as HIPAA, protects patients' sensitive medical information, making it confidential. It can't be disclosed without a patient's consent or knowledge. If there is a breach, HIPAA gives a facility 60 days to notify patients.
They need to do it better.
Malden needs a kidney transplant, so she's been going to the center 3 times a week for the past 3 years. She says they do routine blood tests, but no one told her about the missing vials.
What is the procedure? Why you guys didn't inform the patients that this had happened? You should have sent a letter out or something.
Maurice Holtzclaw is another patient who we talked to days after the discovery.
Has anyone from DaVita told you that your blood was found out on the street?
No. No, nobody told me anything. Like I said before, I'm just hearing it from you.
He was so upset, he called the clinic.
I just wanted to find out what was going on.
An employee told him the blood samples were stolen during their typical shipping process, which involves leaving a box with blood samples outside the clinic for a delivery driver to pick up. DaVita believes someone stole the box while it was sitting outside and trashed it when they realized what was inside.
Do you think maybe you should upgrade the way they transfer these samples?
It's clear crime is an issue here and DaVita knows it. Employees put up these signs asking people to stop breaking into their cars. We keep asking the clinic why they thought it was a good idea to leave out a box with patients' blood and medical information in the middle of a shopping center. No one here will talk to us. DaVita is an international company operating in 11 countries. In the U.S., they run more than 2,500 dialysis clinics, including dozens in the metro area. The Florissant Center told us to call their spokesman.
We were calling in regards to some blood vials.
In a statement, he explained they're still reviewing what happened and we are deeply concerned about this criminal activity. Our team is entrusted with protecting the confidentiality of the health information of our patients, and we take that obligation very seriously. We've taken steps to reduce the risk of future foul play by changing the way we secure shipments awaiting pickup.
It's very frightening that somebody would run off with a box like that with laboratory tubes.
Investigator for the Missouri Department of Health, Jason Hollinsworth, is taking on this case after First Alert 4 Investigates reached out to the state for answers.
We're going to see if they became aware and what they did to investigate and what they did to prevent reoccurrences and everything.
Is this a typical shipping process?
It is a typical shipping process, but the problem that occurred is not typical.
Missouri has no statewide requirement for shipping blood samples. Each facility sets their own policy, which is then reviewed by the State Department of Health. But this case raises questions if that should change.
It needs to be a safe process, and we are definitely going to be evaluating that.
DaVita says it is changing pickups, and our cameras saw a delivery driver getting a package inside the clinic.
It's a shame.
Patients like Cheryl Malden believe this discovery was preventable.
I'm glad that you were able to contact me and let me know what has happened and transpired, because this is terrible.
Upset, nothing can undo the violation to her privacy. In all, DaVita says 24 patients were affected. Most have multiple samples taken, but the company hasn't told us how many of those were stolen, meaning we don't know if there are vials of people's blood still unaccounted for. There are 2 investigations going on right now, one by the State Department of Health. If they find any violations, a facility is required to fix them and then go through another inspection. The second investigation is by police trying to find whoever stole and then dumped the blood. At this point, they haven't made any arrests.
The results are coming in live, and your First Alert team is tracking it all.
Really glad you joined us. We're watching races for you on both sides of the river, including those to represent us in Washington and controversial ballot questions. Tonight, over the next hour, we're going to have in-depth coverage of all of the major local candidates and issues. First Alert 4's crews have been monitoring results and getting reaction for you all night long, from the Missouri State Capitol to Jefferson City to the Illinois Capitol in Springfield.
And our first stop, a big race for the Show Me State. Republican incumbent Josh Hawley challenged by Democrat Lucas Kuntz. As you can see on your screen, Hawley taking the win tonight. 53% of the vote right now, 52% of the vote, I should say, to 45%. Well, let's get to First Alert 4's Alexis Zotos live in Ozark, where Senator Josh Hawley hosting his watch party tonight. And Alexis, just moments ago, Josh Hawley was there on stage.
That's right, Corey. He's actually speaking with reporters right here, right now. Senator, can I just ask you, we're live right now.
Yes, absolutely.
What's the emotion you're feeling right now?
Oh, just gratitude, an overwhelming sense of gratitude for Missouri voters placing their confidence in me. And my pledge to them is no matter who you voted for tonight, I'm going to work for you, just like I have the last 6 years. And I just say to all of those folks, if you voted for my opponent, hey, guess what? You're still the boss. I still work for you.
What's your top priority in the Senate?
Number one, I would say we've got to close the border. Whatever it takes to close the border, we've got to reopen American energy production. We've got to get the nuclear radiation bill passed with compensation for radiation victims in St. Louis, St. Charles, and around the state. And I will not rest. I don't care how long it takes me. We will get that passed.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
This was wrong, and that was cold-hearted.
I do not want my son's death to be in vain. I want it to lead to incredible change.
No justice, no peace.
I think anyone that lives on planet Earth right now have probably heard of Ferguson, Missouri.
I describe it as the night Ferguson burned.
We've had time to express our outrage. We've had time to express hurt and pain and anger, but I don't think we've really mourned the losses here.
We are not the Ferguson 15 years ago.
I'm not saying today or yesterday, but one day they'll regain my trust.
I would say that we're vastly different than we were in 2014.
What happened August 9th of 2014, you could just tell from the community, that was just the breaking point.
It motivated a change that, this community and this country needed.
Sparking a change we continue to see today. August 9th, 2014 is a day we'll never forget.
Michael Brown Jr. was killed by a police officer in Ferguson. His death and the events that followed.
This is The Glow, presented by St. Luke's.
We have made it to one of the most loved events in St. Louis, and tonight it officially kicks off. You are looking live from our BJC Sky Camera over Forest Park as we prepare for the balloon glow. It's the night before the big race, and for so many in St. Louis, tonight is equally as magical as tomorrow will be. We are so thankful to have you joining us for this very special edition of First Alert 4 at 6:30. I'm Laura Hediger.
Yes, and I'm Damon Arnold, and we are live here from Emerson Central Fields here at Forest Park. The great Forest Park balloon race presented by PNC Bank, man, is getting ready to kick off here in just a little bit. You hear everybody screaming in the background. The energy is crazy. And again, I have to stress, this is a free event.
First Alert 4 Investigates is asking tonight, where are the receipts? Chief Investigator Lauren Traeger was tipped about questionable spending of your tax dollars by St. Louis City leaders, some with big authority. We found documents detailing charges at fancy restaurants, the Lego store, even the Polar Express. Now St. Louis City Hall is flipping the script, trying to charge us money to get what you have the right to know.
From Star Wars spaceships to Disney castles, cool car garages, and don't get us started on Spider-Man. Lego prices pack a punch for parents. That's exactly why the Lego store caught our eye on a recent credit card statement paid for by St. Louis City taxpayers.
What is that?
In fact, there's quite a few eyebrow-raising purchases in the last year,
A bunch of Walmart and Sam's Club.
according to Benjamin Singer,
The Innsbruck Conference Center.
the CEO of Good Government Group, Show Me Integrity.
This is pretty hard to justify.
We asked him to review the monthly statements, a credit card assigned to various city departments, which racks up thousands of dollars of charges a month, even $2,000 in late fees over the year.